program. Joining me now is the Australian's foreign editor, Greg Sheridan. Greg, welcome to the program. Dozens of diplomats staged a pretty dramatic walkout when Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the UN at the weekend. Many delegates filed out the moment he was introduced. Have a look at what happened.
Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall.
Now, Greg, I was keen to ask you about this because I know you've had your criticisms of Benjamin Netanyahu, but I would have thought whatever one's position on Israel's offensive in Gaza, walking out like that is disgraceful, isn't it? And highly performative.
Oh, yes, James. It's great to be with you. Look, that's what the UN is. I mean, it's a rabble of dictatorships. Mind you, I think even suffering boycott, Netanyahu had a bigger audience than Albanese did in the UN. So no need to boycott Australia. You'd never notice the difference, you know, especially when we're exercising our magnificent international leadership. But yes, it was rude, it was ill-mannered, it was stupid, it was counterproductive. So the president of Iran can come along after murdering 1,000 of his citizens in a weekend's executions, and he'll be listened to respectfully. The president of Russia, when he deigns to go there, that's fine, no problem. He's murdered 100,000 Ukrainians. That's no problem. Everybody's funky-dory about that. Any Arab dictator in the business, that's no problem. But the one prime minister of the one Jewish state in the world is greeted that way. It is contemptible. And if Australia had a speck, just even one tiny speck of moral courage, it would denounce the walkout, instead of which we are now fatuously running for a temporary seat on the UN Security Council. So every dictatorship involved in every performative anti-Semitic act is going to be our best friend for the next 2 years while we shovel money down their way and hope they'll vote for us for the sort of perverse beauty contest that is a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council.
Wow, Greg Sheridan, when you put it like that, we've got so much to look forward to. Donald Trump has claimed ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas are now at their final stages. He's made claims like this before, but he says Israel are on board with this and a deal could lead to peace across the Middle East. What's he proposing and what likelihood of success?
Look, the absolute truth is, James, I got to give you the lowdown on this. God alone knows. That is the truth. Almost nothing that Trump has said over the last few months has actually happened. Remember his summit with Vladimir Putin? And he said that in the next week or so there'd be a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, and Ukraine was on the brink of peace and everything. Now, certainly Trump has a lot more sway over Israel than he has over Russia or Ukraine. I'm not equating Israel with Russia in any way. I myself am generally regarded as a very strong supporter of Israel, but I think Netanyahu's strategy in the last 6 months has been counterproductive. He's killing innocent people for no military benefit. So any kind of ceasefire now is okay as long as the Israelis don't agree to things that they can't reverse. I mean, I don't see how Israel can withdraw from the territory until a new governing authority is there. I don't think Israel can withdraw until it gets all its hostages back. But that doesn't mean it has to keep up this bombardment. I mean, I agree with those many Israeli analysts who say Israel should just stop the major campaign and say to Hamas and Gaza, you get no dollar of reconstruction aid. We'll give you all the food and medical aid in the world, but not $1 of reconstruction aid until we get all our hostages back and Hamas is disarmed. And any time a Hamas leader pops his head up, blow it off, that's fine. Nobody's got any problem with Israel being at war against Hamas. And it may be that Trump will provide Netanyahu with an off-ramp, and that would be a very good thing. But honestly, we've just no way of knowing whether this will, play out as Trump says or not.
I spoke with Michael Kroger and Graham Richardson earlier about Anthony Albanese's appearance at the UK Labor conference over the weekend. I'm keen to get your thoughts. Do you agree it was inappropriate? And what did you make about his comments indirectly about Nigel Farage?
Well, yes, I did. And I mean, that was a wonderful panel you had with Michael Kroger and Graham Richardson. No one would be surprised to know I'm an admirer of Michael Kroger, but I'm also a tremendous admirer of Richo. And I loved his monosyllabic inability to defend Albanese because he was telling the truth. Did Albo go too far? Yep. Can you make any defence of it? Nope. So this was a ludicrous
it didn't help
by
me
Albanese.
with Greg. The monosyllabic answer did not help me with the interview with that panel. I'm glad you enjoyed it, but Richo was, as you say, because there was not much else to say.
There was great honesty in his answers, I thought, and he's a good man. He's a very good man, Graham Richardson. And he was involved in a different kind of Labor government. But look, everything was wrong with this speech. First of all, at the technical level, it was surely the most cliche-ridden, banality-heavy, ridiculous, worthless, ho-hum speech in the history of the world, you know, full of idiotic self-congratulation. Labor chose democracy. Wow. So what, they might have chosen Stalinism instead? Then it was a party political speech, which no Australian Prime Minister is meant to deliver overseas. Imagine if Scott Morrison had gone to the Republican National Convention as it nominated Donald Trump and said, let's make America great again. That's what we Liberals and you Republicans share in common, and that's our deep belief, blah, blah, blah. You know, there'd be Four Corners sinister documentaries about it for the rest of time. And it added nothing for Australia. There was no value in it for Australia. If you count the South Pacific leg of this trip, because he came home for a day after the South Pacific before he went to America, this is one of the very longest prime ministerial trips in our history, and surely one of the worst. Humiliating failure in Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu, utter nonsensical virtue signalling in New York. We don't have any influence on Palestine, thank God. The Palestinians and the Israelis should be grateful for that. Our ridiculous climate targets are being followed by nobody. Canada, you know, Albo's best friend, much reduced its targets. One reason Starmer is in such bad odour in the polls is because of what green policies are doing to energy prices in Britain. Albanese didn't get to see Trump, and he briefs out that this is because he wants a mature and constructive relationship with Trump. Well, the meeting is now scheduled for October 20. That's about 10 days short of 1 year after Trump's election.
The crazy thing, Greg, is now that he's having dissed Trump, now he's dissing Nigel Farage, who could well be the next Prime Minister. I've got to leave it there. I'm so sorry, but we need to go to a break. Greg Sheridan, always really good to talk to you. Thank you so much.